Hello, good morning, good afternoon. This is Joanna here, founder of Wounds to Scars, and I'm coming to answer a question that was asked on my video yesterday regarding healing. I'm just going to set Periscope up, so if you bear with me a moment. So I'm going to be streaming here and in Periscope, and it was on my video. 7 tips, 7 important things that we need to do to heal. And I did share step 1 and 2. So here is a question was asked. Healing is a process and it can take different lengths of time for different people. How do I know when healing starts, and how do I know when I'm fully healed? And I think that was an amazing question. So I am going to answer it today in this video. I also want to do it on Periscope, so if you bear with me, how do I? So I'm going live on Periscope. Okay, so there we go. So if you bear with me, I want to just be really thorough in answering that question, because I think it was such a great question that it wasn't one that I could answer. Good morning, and thank you for joining. It wasn't one that I could just answer in the comment section. I really wanted to do it justice. So how do I know when I'm fully healed? Firstly, that's why I started Wounds to Scars, because sometimes we have wounds when we're hurt and we get bruised, and when it's external, it shows easier than when it's internal. When it's internal, nobody can see it. We can hide it away. We can pretend it's not there. But studies and research is showing that it's coming up and it's appearing in physical illnesses. So I always encourage to not hide emotional wounds, to get healing. And as I said, as the physical illness, physical wound, when it's healed, you see a scar, but there's no pain. When you press on it, it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just a memory. And the memory doesn't hurt. And so it's the same process with emotional healing. So how do I know when I suffer childhood trauma? How do I know when whatever life throws at me? How do I know when I'm healed? What is the process? And you're right, the process is different for everyone, but healing is important. It's absolutely important. It frees you. As I said, it saves you from physical illness. Now, I'm going to share some research that I found recently that was really very astounding to me, that people who suffer or people who experience childhood trauma stand a higher chance of having high blood pressure, heart disease, hypertension, and those kind of illnesses that is usually treated with medication, when at the root of it is repressed trauma. And so it's not necessarily only childhood trauma. And the research, again, and not to scare you or anything, but just to kind of sensitize you to the importance of healing, shows that those people who repress, who suffer childhood trauma, tend to die 20 years earlier than the part of the population that doesn't. And repressed emotional trauma is showing up in autoimmune illnesses. So healing is just not a if anymore. It's a what's my process? What steps should I take to begin healing? What are the processes that I need to do to begin this journey of recovery? So as I said, you can't afford to anymore say, can I do it? And we're also seeing that it's the impact that it's having on relationships. We see how it affects parenting. And we're seeing how it affects our not only intimate relationships in terms of partners, but also our friendships, how we show up in friendships, how we are at work, how we relate interpersonally to people. So all of those things are present because there is a big chunk of us that we can't allow anybody access to. And because of that, we kind of, our own lives, and I suppose I can understand how our lives are shortened, because there's such a chunk of us that is hidden, that is repressed, that we can't access. So what's that process to start that? Start uncovering that chunk. How do I begin to access this part of me that I've hidden away from for so long, for so many years? How do I access the part of me that I've hidden with food, that I use food to kind of numb? How do I access the part of me that I've used alcohol to numb? I worked in addictions for many years, and I know many people have an alcohol problem, not because they like to drink, but because there was some repressed stuff that they were hiding from, and that was their way of coping. Now, that's an unhealthy way of coping. Also, eating to soothe is an unhealthy way. Staying up and watching YouTube, movies, whatever is an unhealthy way to cope, but there are healthy ways of coping. So how do you know when to start? Okay, so the time to start is when you realize that I am using foods or alcohol or illicit relationships, pornography, whatever it is that you realize that you're using to cope. If you can get angry easily, you pick fights with people, you're staying in bed, sleeping, and we self-harm in many ways. How do you? Some people use illicit relationships to self-harm, because after I've gone out and I can sleep with whoever I want, whenever, then I feel really terrible about myself. And when I feel really bad about myself, I think I deserve it, because I'm such a bad person. And when I do that, then that's really hurting me. That's a good place to start to get help. That's a good indication that you need support. And so you're listening, that's not your story. You don't use illicit relationship. When you realize that you're crying at nights, late into your pillow, you can't sleep, you are tossing and turning, you find that you are tired a lot, you are easily irritable, you get angry really quickly, you overeat or don't eat, you overeat on specific things like carbs or sweets, or isn't it funny that we never overeat on apples? But that's just on a side. We overeat on carbs or sweets or anything like that, that is, the sugar rush or the carbohydrates that makes you feel laden. When you realize that you start to do those things, you avoid associating with people that you used to associate with. You avoid hanging out with your friends. You avoid social engagements. You find excuses to not go out anymore. You don't answer your phone. When people text you, you don't respond to them. When you find that you're isolating yourself and you're burrowing down and you're in that place where it feels like this darkness is going to overtake you, that's a good place to start to reach out for help, reach out for support. Find someone, a good therapist, somebody that may not be a therapist, but you know that they have the skills that can help you to walk through your particular journey, or somebody who has walked where you are, who have overcome the obstacle that you're trying to overcome. And you, from watching from the sidelines, it appears that they've done it successfully. You see them making healthy choices. You see that they have the same values to you, similar values to yourself. You see that they're coping. Their parenting looks different. Their relationships look different. The way they behave interpersonally look different. They just look settled in themselves. Maybe you can approach such a person and say, I know that you've been through this. This is where I am. What are some of the things that you did that help you overcome it and you're standing now? So that's one thing to do. Or you can find a good counselor, find a good therapist that is skilled in the thing that you are dealing with and wanting to, they can offer you the kind of support that you need. So that's a good place to start. So another part of the question was able to face it. How do you know when you're able to face it? Or even now do you know these things might be happening, but you're saying, thanks for joining, good morning. These things might be happening and you're saying, well, how do I'm still afraid of facing it. How do I know when it's that time is right for me to address this thing? So when you can talk about it without shame or look at it from the outside, rather, that's when healing is happening. I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit about facing it. How do I know when it's time? And I've gone through a few things that will indicate for you that it's an important time to now begin to look at this. I'll talk about my journey. When I went through therapy for childhood trauma, sexual abuse in childhood, it was kind of, I didn't have a choice. I had to go do it then. I talk about being training at the time, and just a door was open that I was unable to close. I couldn't repress it any longer. I couldn't pretend any longer. And so I had to go and get help. I had to get help because I was training and I needed to go through the process of counseling. So it was well timed. Or when I get help for bereavement when my grandmother died. We're not in the same country and she passed away, and I needed to go work through the grief. I stayed a year again. I like counseling. I'm a counselor, so I always support that. But I spent a year talking through the grief, talking through what she meant to me, what I'm going to miss about her, and how important a part of my life she was, the things that I didn't do that I wish I had done, the values that she had given me, and so many other facets of our life together that was important for me to go work through. And so as I did, when I went back home, I'm able to talk about her without crying. There are times when, little things will happen and I thought I'd love to talk to her about that, and I still miss her, but it's not a sharp pain. It's not a sharp pain because I've allowed myself the freedom to grieve and to heal and to work through that. So how will you know when you've walked this process? When I walk my process of healing from doing my bereavement work and doing my grief work as well about loss of my childhood, how did I know when I was healed? Now I wrote a blog post, and I'm going to put the link below this video on Wounds to Scars website, and it talks, this is what freedom feels like. This is what freedom looks like, I think the title is. And I'm going to put the title down here to see what freedom is, because I said that when we're healed, because God promises, thank you for joining, God promises healing completely. And so how will we know when we're healed? When I walk this journey, Joanna, how will I know when I've completed it? How will I know what it will look like? What will it look like for me? Because I encourage people to move from this side of broken to this side. How will you know when you've made it? And this is how you'll know. When you're able to talk about it without shame and look at it from the inside, from the outside in. When you're able to look at it from the impact that it has had on your life. I'll share a story. I wasn't able to talk about my abuse for a long time. And so because friends know, my colleagues knew that I had an interest in trauma and working with trauma, they'd share things with me. And I didn't immediately have this blinding headache because I was repressing. I was holding it in so much that I couldn't talk about it. And until the day I said, I can't be doing with these headaches. I just can't. And I said, look, this is what's happening. If you start to talk about trauma and my reaction is like this is why. They understood. And so, after that, it kind of freed it up for me to have conversations. I didn't talk about it all the time, but it freed it up for me to be able to talk about it when I wanted to, when it was needed, when it was necessary. But I'll tell you a story about someone I was working with, and, she gave me permission to share that she experienced abuse as well. Different kind, but she came one day and I was working on one of my courses, and she said, you have to do one about religious abuse, Joanna, you have to. And she began to tell me the reasons why I needed to. And as I listened, I realized that she was reflecting on her own journey, but she was talking about it from a different place. It was no longer shame. There was no longer areas that she said, oh, I can't talk about that, or no, we won't discuss that, because sometimes that was how it was. It was no longer, oh, that one, we won't talk about that one. There was nothing like that around it. She was just able to say, these are the areas that you would need to look at. This is the impact of religious abuse. This is how it will affect you. This is the process that you need to walk. You need to forgive yourself. You need to forgive God. God don't need forgiving. You need to ask him for forgiveness for how you treated him, because I didn't speak to him for so long. You need to forgive the people who hurt you. You would need to get help for yourself. And she was able to talk about it from a different place, from a different perspective. And as I listened to her, thank you so much for the heart. As I listened, I realized that she had successfully walked her journey. And we were able to, as I reflected that back to her, she was just shocked. I said, it's because, we can knock the part up. It's okay. You're okay now. And we were able to move on and work on a different part of her healing. We were able to look at a different part of her healing. Now, if you have any questions, please do ask. Please do ask if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them. So that's a good indicator that healing is happening. When I was able to talk freely about abuse, and even then, before I decided to share my story publicly, it was about 5 people who knew, including my husband. But those people I could talk to freely about, not about the event and what occurred, because that's what healing will do. You won't necessarily talk about the event and what occurred, but you'll be able to talk about the impact of the event on you. That's how you'll know that you're beginning to move through broken and emerge, because you'll be able to talk about the event from a different perspective. You'll be able to talk about how it's affected you. So the impact of it on you, you'll be able to see lessons, though it might be tragic, what has happened, you'll be able to take lessons away. So what did I learn about healing from childhood trauma? I learned that I'm resilient. I learned that shame can really cripple you. I learned that 1 in 3 people suffer childhood trauma through sexual abuse, or late, not necessarily in childhood, but people are afraid to talk about it. I learned that I can let go, I can forgive, and that forgiveness frees me and healed me. I learned that I wasn't to blame, and that was such a precious gift. That was a gift. My counselor kept telling me didn't sink in until the Lord himself told me through a process. I learned that it wasn't my fault. I learned that the memories, when they come, that I have the resiliency. I built the resiliency up to be able to deal with them. And that I didn't have to repress them, hide from them, pretend. I learned that it had impacted my parenting. I learned that it impacted my marriage. And that they are conversations. And I just wrote an awesome book, an amazing book. You're going to really like it. I read it last night after I came back from editing, and I just was like, thank you, Lord, for this precious gift. It's called Love Interrupted, Reclaiming Your Relationships. It's going to be available on the website, hopefully today. And I learned that there are conversations that I needed to have that I had to be healed to be able to have, because I wasn't able to have them. I would hide from them. I had to talk to my siblings. My siblings are on this group, some of them. I had to talk to my siblings. I haven't talked to my parents yet, but I'm delaying that, waiting to do that face to face. But I had to talk to so many people when it was time for me when the Lord said it was time to share your story. I had to be able to be healed. If I wasn't healed, I wouldn't have been able to do that and do it as often as I do. And it's, praise the Lord, it's freeing many people. So that's how you know that it's beginning to happen. What lessons have I learned from this? Have you stopped blaming yourself? Because sometimes when we're hurt, we tend to, self-blame is a part of it. Do you hate yourself? Do you love yourself? Are there irrational thoughts around the event? Or are you free to think about it without having any kind of irrational thoughts? Does it still interrupt your sleep? Is it still affecting your relationships? Have you made any kind of decisions about it, Lord? Like, I'll never love again. I can't connect with anyone because if I do, will they go? Will everybody that I love leave? All that kind of stuff. Are there any irrational thoughts around it? Can you remember it and it no longer sends you in throes of pain? Can you remember it and it doesn't send you hurtling through a place of pain anymore? These will be indicators that healing is happening, that, that was a tough thing, but I'm okay. Because if you never begin to process it, if you never give yourself permission to process it, you'll never be able to look back and never be able to reflect on it, look back and think, that was a hard journey. What I've been through was difficult, but I'm glad I've made it. I didn't know if I could. When I was going through it, it didn't feel like it, but I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I made the decision to heal because I'm responding to situations in a different way. I can love without the baggage. I don't feel like I'm carrying baggage. I don't feel like there's a part of my life that is out of bounds even to myself. I can have safe relationships. I can put boundaries in place. I can decide the part of my experience that I want to share, or if I want to share any parts of my experience. I can decide how I want to talk about it. And I can show up in relationships in a different way. And you will notice that I stress relationships a lot, but relationships, we were created for relationships. We were never meant to be isolated and alone on an island. We were created for relationships, but relationships function effectively when we do something and the other person does something too. Sometimes doing something like putting boundaries in place and saying, I can't be what you want me to be. And be okay with saying that. I can't be what you want me to be. I can't provide what you want me to provide, but I can stay alongside you. But I think you need to this is what you need, and you perhaps need to go find it in other places. That's showing up in a relationship. Being able to say to your friend, even if they're close, no, I can't do that. No, I don't want to do that, without feeling guilt, without feeling you have to explain yourself, without feeling that you owe them anything because you've decided to say no, because no is a valid answer, and sometimes you can't. And you have to decide what's comfortable. And we all do things where we sacrifice for other people, but we also have to do life in a boundaried way because that's what's safe. And we model that for people when we do that for them. Okay, so that's how you begin to realize when you're healed, when healing is happening or has happened. When you forgive, I was asked, I told you, I'm going to wrap up shortly, but I was telling you yesterday about the time that we had with our mentor, and he asked this really challenging question, and I immediately said no, and I had to reflect on it. He asked, well, he didn't ask me, but he was reflecting on it. He said, when he thought about the cross, and, he said, in this quiet moment, Jesus said, you are Barabbas. And he was like, me, Lord, yes, you, because I died for you. Are you willing to die for the people who hurt you? And immediately I said no. Not out loud verbally, but in my thoughts, it was just kind of instant. No, I am not prepared to die for the people who hurt me, who abused me. Because it just did this and this and this to my life. I'm having this battle in my thoughts, and he's talking. And this conversation is going on in my head with God. That was really honest, because I had to say, no, Lord, I'm not willing to die for them. And then the next thought was, then you haven't forgiven them, Joanna. And I'm like, yes, I have forgiven them, but I don't want to die for them. But as I reflect on it, I wanted to. And that's why I love the Lord, because he knows my heart. He knows our hearts. And he knew that I wanted to be able to say that. I wanted to be able to do it from a place of not to tick a box or anything, because God knows our hearts and we can't really lie to him. So eventually I got to the place and I just felt compassion flood my heart for the persons who had hurt me. Never experienced that before. Never thought to pray about it. I've prayed for them, but I never thought to pray for compassion. And so I think that conversation was kind of divinely arranged. And I am just in a different place where I can honestly feel compassion and say, yeah, I would die for them. I'm telling you, that is big for me. It's never something I ever thought about. But my view was, I forgive you, you stay over there and I stay over here. But if I'm going to die for somebody, it's gonna have to be different, isn't it? So I'm working through that with God. So we can remember without no longer in the pain. And those are some of the things that we can know that we are healed. Now, I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of process about time. How long does it take was a question. Sometimes how long depends on us. I've had clients that I've worked with for a year, 6 months, 6 weeks, 3 months, a month. It depends. If you go in, you get what you get out of counseling, what you put into it. As anything is in life. If you go to your counselor closed, refusing to share, hiding parts of you, hiding parts of the issue, not wanting to talk about it, answer yes or no. If you go in that place, you won't get the maximum out of the experience, really. So it takes time. But the time is different for everyone. And sometimes it depends on the complexity of the issue. So when I have an assessment session with someone, I never say, okay, so we're going to work together for 2 months or 3 months. And if you go on my website and my programs, you'll see I have a 1 month offer and I have a 3 month offer. But that, I review on a regular basis just to see if ongoing work needs to be done or we're finished and we need to tie up. So it depends. It depends on the complexity of the issue. So I'm going to talk about just one that may make it complex, that might make it take a bit longer. So look at childhood trauma. That can become complex if there was no attachment. If in your early life you did not have close, connected, secure attachment with your primary caregivers. So if you're healing from childhood trauma and it's taken long, and you've been through therapy for years and you've worked with a few different people and you're at your wit's end and you're tired, just keep going, keep reading the retreat, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. But if secure attachment, this is not my words, this is kind of research. If secure attachment didn't happen early in your early life, say between 0 to 4, if you weren't securely attached, chances are it might take longer because you have to learn all the processes again, how to trust, how to connect, how to bond, and through that connected bonding, the healing can begin to happen. I hope that's as simple as I can put it. And you can do that relationship with your counselor. So I work from a place of building relationships. When I build my relationships, then from that place, then the journey can happen, because then my clients know I love them. I really do. And I have a vested interest in their healing, in their recovery, and putting out everything to making sure that that happens. When I went through healing from abuse, I had the secure attachment. So that really, really helped. I wasn't only securely attached to my parents. I had my grandparents. I had aunts, my father's only sister that I love dearly, and I know she loves me too. So I had that to work. I had those relationships to reflect on, to work on, because that was modeled for me. I had where I could go for security. When I went into my memory, I could go there for security and understand that I had that. If you don't have it, it could interrupt the process, but it all is not lost. You can form that really with a good expert therapist. They can begin to model that. So you're not going there because they're not your mother or anything like that. That's not how the relationship is going to work. And I don't know how to explain it here that will make you understand. And I hope you do understand. I like to say, do you understand my stuff? My sisters find it annoying. So I hope that you do understand what I'm saying. So secure attachment will help, depending on how complex the issue is. So I spent a year in therapy, as I said. But the things that help me alongside that is support, having good support. I had amazing support in my husband, and I say to him, you should help men who are supporting their spouses going through childhood trauma. And he said, well, what did I do? He doesn't know what he did, but he was available to the Holy Spirit. And that's amazing, because the Holy Spirit told him what I needed and he was able to give it. When I needed to cry all night, when I needed to talk all night, when I needed to sit in a dark room, whatever I needed, he was able to give that. So having support, people, who are the people around you that love you? Who are the people around you that you know will do anything for you? They will show up for you. They'll sit alongside you. Some people are around you that love you, but they can't hear it. It's too hard for them. So they prefer loving you without hearing that you're not okay. They think if you're laughing and if you're smiling and if you can hang out with them, then you're okay. And deep down you're going, I'm not okay. I want somebody to talk to, but I don't know if you has the capacity to listen. Find somebody who can. And accept the support, that the love that they can offer. If what they can offer is to cook you a meal or have a night sleepover or go for a walk or just shoot breeze, if that's what the support they can offer, take that, but get the support from the person who you can call and say, today I just want to cry, or I cried last night, or I didn't sleep, I can't eat, this is what's going on, I don't know what to do next. It will really, really help you if you have that kind of person who you can call on. Don't assume that they don't know. You will know the ones who won't offer judgment, who will just love you through whatever it is, wherever you are, whatever stage it is that you're going through. Another thing that was important was my prayer life. Having a connection with God. There were times when I couldn't pray. I didn't know how to phrase it, say it, and I teach prayer for emotional healing. So I walk people through the step and this process. So if that's what you want, then that's available to pray, how to pray through scriptures, how to ask and to tell God where it hurts and the part of your life that is affecting. And we talk about venting as one of the process of healing. How to say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one. You said you'll heal my wounds, but it has been 6 months and it hasn't been yet. And it really hurts. How, why me? Where were you? Why did this happen? Just to really do that, because that's praying, to talk through it. Because what it will do is bring you full circle. Because David said, when I look at the prosperity of the wicked, I wonder how come they're prospering. Until I went into the sanctuary of the Lord, I understood their end. And that's another workshop to see, what did David see? And what does it mean, went into the sanctuary of the Lord? And that's a beautiful healing process. Just being able to say, God, today hurts. Today I'm angry. Today I am crippled by despair. And this darkness just won't go. And I don't know what to do. Just telling it to him like that is really healing. And later, a friend who understood the journey of healing, and I could talk at any time. I could say anything. I could just be absolutely open and honest, and just be able to get from her what I need. So having support was absolutely crucial, and it's going to be crucial for your healing too. Okay, find one person, I was suggesting, who will not judge. Find one person who will not judge you. Find one person who will listen, who will be understanding, who won't tell you what to do, how to do it, or how to heal. One person who will just let you walk your journey, breathe your way, heal your way, or however the way God dictates for you to do it. One person who will give you the room to do that. Now, also, what I had the benefit of is extensive training. Before I decided to face mine, I had training and workshops that I had attended around abuse. So I knew some of the processes, some of the steps, some of the things that would happen. Very different knowing it intellectually from actually carrying it out. So very, very different process. So it didn't give me an advantage per se, but when healing was beginning to take place, it helped me to understand and to put things in perspective in a better way. So I would encourage you to read around the issue, whatever the issue is that you're trying to heal from. Read extensively around it. Find books. I'm telling you, sometimes when we're in pain, we can feel like we're alone. It's just us. Nobody has walked my journey. It's different for everybody. And there's always somebody who's walked your journey. Maybe not your particular specific event, but similar. And they've done it successfully. And they've written about it. They've done videos about it. So they'll be able to help you, guide you with the steps that you need to take. Okay. So there goes reading. Retreats. Retreats are amazing because they give you time out. They give you time to think. They give you focus time. So find a specific one around your need. Mine was around kind of silence, not necessarily silent retreats, but retreats about building me up in Christ. About so there were ones focused on me. Though I was a mom, though I was a wife, though I was I was working. My retreats were just around me, around self-care, and those play a really major part in helping me to heal. And just the time out, the time away from my environment, the time out away from my everyday challenges, the time out from answering the phones or responding to emails or just dealing with everyday life. Just the time out from dealing with everyday life is really, really helpful. So I would encourage you to take those time out from everyday life. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm offering free assessments to anyone who, you've watched this video, lots resonate for you, and you want a way to kind of say, Joanna, this is what has been going on for me. This is what has been happening. This is how it's been impacting my relationships. It's affected my job. It's affected my parenting, my marriage, my friendships, my relationship with my mom or siblings, or just my relationship with myself, the way I view myself. It really has knocked my confidence and my self-esteem. It's impacted how I see myself. It's impact even how I think God sees me. And how I see him, I don't talk to him anymore. I'm kind of angry with him. I want to work through the anger. I want to let go of the pain. I want to not be ashamed anymore. I don't want to feel afraid. Teach me. I want to learn how to identify safe people so that I can have a secure, safe network of support. I want to learn how to pray through scriptures. I want to see how my prayer life can change so that it can help me to work through the events that have occurred that have caused me pain. If you want to do any of those, I am going to put the link to my calendar below this video, and you can please feel free to book a session for us to talk through the issues and the direction that will be beneficial to you, the direction that will be most beneficial to you. So, or you can email me at joanna@woundsthescars.com, and I'll send you the link so you can sign up. I have an assessment process. I have a form that you complete just to see if we're a right fit, if you know what you need, if I'm the right person who can help you with that. If not, I'm sure there's support that we could direct you to, support that you could use, that you could access, so you too can walk your journey of healing. So somebody can walk beside you, helping you, enabling you to do the steps, to take the steps that are necessary so you can be free. As I always say, Jesus died that you might live abundantly, abundantly. Don't let this take any more of your time, your life, your health, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. Don't let it rob you anymore from the rich, fulfilling relationships that you can have, that you can enjoy. I've enjoyed doing this. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them below in the video. For those that are on Periscope, I am at on Facebook, Wounds That Heal, so you can access the group there and you can post your questions on your video on just below the video, or you can email me at joanna@woundsthescars.com, and I'll be happy to assist you or direct you to wherever it is that might be best and beneficial so you can get what you need. Have an awesome day. Do take care. Bye.